Next up is Michael Klaper, and that's Dr. Michael Klaper. I really adore this man from the deep part of my heart. He is really the reason, one of the hugest reasons why I'm a vegan. This goes back 21 years. He's been doing it a long time, and he was doing it for like, I don't know, 10 years before that. No? Something like that. Long time. And he's a man who believes in sanity, about the planet, about our health, about the animals, about human hunger, about the chaos in our economy, all the subsidies to the meat industry. And he's, well, here's his official biography, which is very short, which means that he's a really, really great man. Dr. Klaper is a practicing physician and 30-year vegan, okay, I got it right, whose patients, he tells us, include people, animals, and planet Earth itself, all of which will benefit as humans adopt the plant-based diet. And it is my just overwhelming joy and pleasure to bring Michael Klaper to the stage.
Thank you, Pamela. Wow, what a great event. Wow. Yeah, thank you for all coming out today. Even though it's not the best parade weather, it's the best weather to wake up in. And that's what this movement's really about. As Pamela mentioned, I've been a physician for 40 years now. And when I graduated medical school, I thought I was going to be treating all sorts of classic diseases. I thought I'd see 6 cases of leprosy every week and 4 cases of Tsutsugamuchi fever. I've been a physician 40 years. You know how many cases of leprosy I've seen? 1. How many cases of Tsutsugamuchi fever I've seen? Not a single one. 0. But what I do treat day after day is a rather small group of grim diseases of obesity and high blood pressure and diabetes and autoimmune diseases and clogged arteries. And it's just become absolutely stunning to me as I open the medical journals and I see my colleagues doing all this high-power research to look for that one molecule that will explain why this person's getting overweight, and that one molecule, that one genetic flaw that makes them diabetic, and that one genetic mishap that makes their blood pressure go up. And I'm looking at this and I see the billions of dollars that are being spent. And this little voice in my ear is screaming loudly, "It's the food, stupid! It's the food they're eating!" That was published in the medical journal called Duh. And 40 years ago when I graduated, I went into to become an anesthesiologist, and I was working in the operating rooms when surgeons are opening up patients' arteries and they're pulling out this yellow, greasy, fatty guck called atherosclerosis. And one day I'm looking down into the incision and the little voice says, "You know, that stuff looks like chicken fat they're pulling out of the arteries." And the voice on the other shoulder said, "There's a good reason why that stuff looks like chicken fat. It is chicken fat. And cow fat, and pig fat, and the fat of every other slow animal that was walking past that man's table when he had a fork in his hand." And so I stopped eating animals, and my dad died of clogged arteries. I knew I was going to wind up on that table with that saw going up my chest, and I didn't want to do that. But I knew it was time to end the violence in my life, and I couldn't be pontificating over a steak dinner about all the violence in my around me when I'm clearly being part of that, as I pay for that, if I'm going to be eating meat. And so I knew the meat had to go, then the leather had to go, and everything that I was doing that was creating violence in my life, it was time to let it go, and I found myself a vegan. That's been 30 years now. As that's not an applause line. But it has allowed me to stand and see these very powerful forces at work. I'm looking at our medical system about to crumble under the weight of literally of all the obesity and diabetes and high blood pressure, all from an animal-based diet. I see our children, I see the tsunami of obesity and diabetes that is going to be descending on us because of the fast food animal-based diet that they're consuming. And again, when I look at the medical research, that still that voice comes in, it's the food, stupid, it's the food they're eating.
Give me something.
As I've been a vegan physician, I now use a vegan diet as the most powerful therapeutic tool I have in my armamentarium. If someone's got high blood pressure, get them on a low-fat, whole plant-based diet, and that blood pressure comes down. They have type 2 diabetes, get them on a whole food, plant-based diet with minimally processed foods, no oils, and that diabetes gets better. People who have rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune diseases, get them on a whole food, plant-based diet, get their gut healthier, and those autoimmune diseases get better. And it's not that this is a panacea. The problem is the cause is the food that they're eating. We are meant to be plant-based organisms in our diet, and as soon as we go to that direction, we find these diseases go away. Well, that's all wonderful if you're a practicing physician. But meanwhile, we all live in this world where we see so many problems, everything from the oil shortage to global warming to world hunger, and guess what? It's the food, silly, it's the food. And if there's anything I can tell you as you turn the headlines, or turn them on, turn them off if you can these days, when you see so many of the world problems, when you talk to your friends and your family members about the oil shortage, as Bruce and Pamela just mentioned, most of that oil is one way or the other getting burned to put meat on the table. Whether it is transporting the animals, growing all the animal food, pumping the water, running the refrigeration, all those trucks on the highways, what do you think they're hauling? There's somewhere along the line that has something to do with animal-based agriculture. So when it comes to burning oil the way we are, it's the food, stupid. It's our animal-based diet. And I'm not saying you're stupid. It's who's ever looking for some other answer. And of course, all the military spending that we engage in order to keep all that oil flowing, it's the food, Billy. It's the food. It's our animal-based diet. And when it comes to all the water tables dropping, the forest disappearing, the soil getting depleted, it's the food, silly. It's this animal-based diet. And as the rainforests are disappearing, and as the climate is changing, and we see the hurricanes getting worse and the tornadoes getting worse, people don't make that connection with that cheeseburger in their hand, but the reality is, it's the food, silly. It's the animal-based diet. We are, this civilization, big quotes around that, but this society, we're writing our own epitaph because we hunger for that taste of flesh in our mouths. It's flesh eating that's going to destroy this society, and I'm talking about the global society. And I see the people in India and China striving to recreate this animal-based American-style food pattern, and it's going to doom them to the same problems we have. So, if there's anything I can tell you, it's the food, silly. It's the food, okay? And that's the problem. It's also the answer, and that's why this is the Veggie Pride Parade today. And you can only have pride in it, see it as the salvation of our future. Pick a social problem, an ecological problem, a political problem. It's the food that's driving this, and a huge educational endeavor is needed to educate the kids about better food choices, the adults, the politicians. But we have the power, as Pamela said, we the people have the power. You look in this magnificent city, there are so many restaurants that have the word vegetarian out front. Why has that word appeared? Because you demanded it. You made that happen. We all did. And all these you see the word vegan on television, Oprah's coming out of her mouth. Why? Because we demanded it, because it's in our heads. Don't underestimate the power that you have. See the world as it ought to be, and it will materialize. We have that power, and you certainly have that power every time you lay that dollar down on the table. The choices you make with the things you buy determines what's going to be in those markets. And as you make more vegetarian and vegan food purchases and just product purchases, it's going to become a more vegan world. The more you talk about it, the more books you buy, the more vegan potlucks that you host, the more articles that you send your friends on the internet. Get that V word out of there, keep putting it into people's heads, and we will bring forth a more vegetarian, vegan, and life-sustaining world. The current a diet that has death at its heart is not sustainable on any level, nutritionally, economically, spiritually. A plant-based vegetarian diet has life at its very core, and so we need to be life-affirming in everything that we do, the choices that we make, the words that come out of our mouths, the visions that we hold. We need a life-affirming, green, veggie-based diet, veggie-based future, veggie-based lexicon. And that's why you're here. This event would not have happened not many years ago. The fact not only that the vegetarian community sponsored this, but New York responds. It strikes a chord. It's in the zeitgeist. It's out there. So we're like midwives. We're birthing a new awareness. We're birthing a new way of seeing the world. Certainly a new way of eating. And so all you need to do now is eat and talk about it and rejoice in it, celebrate it. Let everything you do be an action that affirms life, that affirms gentleness, that affirms the sanctity of all life, animal life, the life of the earth. My waiting room has gotten very big. All the planet Earth is my patient at this point, and she's running a fever, but she's she's in the intensive care unit. She needs intensive care, okay? And the intensive care is replenishing the oil, the soils, replenishing the water, replenishing the forest, and we can do that resuscitation by the food choices that we make. So if you've just wandered by here and have never had any consciousness about the importance of a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle, be aware of this most important thing that you're going to hear all month, all year. If you're a long-time vegetarian or vegan, then take this as further affirmation. You are not alone. Look at all the people out here who agree with how important this topic is. And you don't have to say much. Just in your life, just be a life-affirming person in the food choices that you make. People watch what you eat. They watch what you order in the restaurant. They look at what's in your shopping cart. They look at the shoes that are on your feet. The statement that you make with your daily life purchases, practices, habits, and words are the most powerful argument that you can make. You don't have to get into a toe-to-toe debate and try and prove people wrong. You don't have to say much of anything. Just do it yourself. Be a statement of love and compassion and truth and honesty and sustainability and affirm life in everything you do. And watch this will become even a greener world than it already is. So know that you've got lots of allies. On the professional level, more and more of my colleagues are becoming aware of this. It is actually happening. The medical profession is starting to give a begrudging acceptance to vegetarian diets. It's certainly happening in the media. I'm encouraged by that. And now we got to get the politicians to stop subsidizing the meat industry and the other animal-based industry. Let's start subsidizing the broccoli farmers. Let's start subsidizing the almond growers. Absolutely. But more importantly, let's start eating more broccoli and almonds and make good examples so the marketplace will carry it on its own. Well, I take great inspiration from seeing you all here today. We have a bright future. We owe the kids a sustainable world at this point, and leaving them with a plant-based idea, plant-based ethos in their head about how to conduct agriculture, how to conduct commerce, and how to raise their own children is the best gift we can give, because we've plundered this planet. Now it's time to heal it, and we can do that again by setting that example of plant-based diets. So I want to congratulate everybody who's behind the Veggie Pride Parade, Pamela Rice and all the work she's done, and all her colleagues, and to thank her for the invitation to appear here. Thank you for all coming out, and know that that a safer, saner, more loving, and greener world is ours just for the doing. It's going to take a little talk, a little work, but life's going to get better from here. And vitamin L for love as well. All the best to you.
Dr.
Go Veggie!
Klaper.